Among history's most remarkable figures, Catherine of Aragon was born on December 16, 1485, in the palace of Alcalá de Henares, just outside of Madrid. Her birth name was Catalina, but she became known as Catherine after moving to England. Her father, King Ferdinand II of Aragon, ruled the northeastern part of Spain, including cities like Barcelona, Zaragoza, and Valencia. He also controlled several Mediterranean islands and parts of southern Italy, including Naples. Catherine's mother, Queen Isabella I of Castile, ruled much of the rest of Spain. Catherine's parents played an essential role in the completion of the Reconquista, the effort to reclaim Spain from Muslim rule. By the time of Catherine's birth, the last Muslim stronghold, Granada, was still under Muslim control, but her parents completed the reconquest in 1492. Catherine's heritage was unique because she was descended from both the English and Spanish royal families. On her mother's side, she was connected to the English House of Lancaster through John of Gaunt, a son of King Edward III of England. As a royal princess, Catherine received a formal education from distinguished scholars, including the Dominican priests Pascual de Ampudia and Ander S. de Morales, as well as the Italian humanist brothers Alessandro and Antonio Geraldini. Her education focused on Latin, European languages, history, and philosophy. As the daughter of the Catholic monarchs, Catherine also received a strong religious education, studying the Bible and other important Christian texts. Her upbringing in two powerful royal families prepared her for a life of influence, although her most significant events were yet to come in England. Catherine of Aragon's early education was shaped by the royal and intellectual environment around her. As the daughter of Queen Isabella I of Castile and King Ferdinand II of Aragon, she was trained to be a learned and cultured princess. Her education was deeply rooted in the Catholic faith, as both her parents were known for their devotion to the Church and for championing Catholicism across Spain. Catherine was tutored by esteemed scholars such as the Dominican priests Pascual de Ampudia and Ander S. de Morales. These scholars emphasized the study of Latin, which was the key language of scholarship during the Renaissance. Catherine also studied European languages, ensuring that she could communicate across the courts of Europe, an essential skill for a royal marriage. Her education was well-rounded, including subjects like history, law, and philosophy. As a member of two prominent European royal families, Catherine was also well-versed in royal diplomacy and the importance of maintaining family alliances. Her connection to the English royal family through her mother, Isabella, was crucial for her later life in England, where her eventual marriage to Prince Arthur of Wales would cement the union between Spain and England. Catherine's education and royal upbringing prepared her for the challenges she would face as a queen, though it was her persistence, intelligence, and commitment to her role that would define her legacy. By the late 1480s, when Catherine was still a young child, her parents, King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella of Spain, had already begun negotiating a marriage alliance between their daughter and Prince Arthur of Wales, the eldest son of King Henry VII of England. This was part of a broader strategy to strengthen the relationship between Spain and England, especially in light of Spain's growing rivalry with France over control of the Italian peninsula. In the year 1489, Rodrigo González de Puebla, a Spanish diplomat, was sent to England to discuss the details of the proposed marriage. Both sides were eager to seal the alliance as tensions with France were rising, and a union between Spain and England could shift the balance of power in Europe. However, the marriage negotiations were delayed, primarily due to disagreements over Catherine's dowry and how her household would be maintained once she arrived in England. Despite the breakdown in negotiations in 1489, a key diplomatic agreement was reached that same year, the Treaty of Medina del Campo. This treaty formalized an alliance between Spain and England, though it did not immediately settle the marriage between Catherine and Prince Arthur. Still, The treaty set the stage for future discussions and provided a foundation for further negotiations. As Catherine grew older, her education continued alongside the diplomatic discussions about her marriage. By the time she reached her early teens, the marriage with Prince Arthur was once again a topic of focus. Catherine of Aragon's marriage to Prince Arthur, heir to the English throne, was a momentous event in European diplomacy. In the autumn of 1501, Catherine, at the age of 16, traveled from Spain to England to marry Arthur. She landed in Plymouth on October 2nd, and after a lengthy procession through southern England, they arrived in London on November 12th. The grand wedding ceremony took place on November 14th at St. Paul's Cathedral, marking the official union of the two royal families. However, the joy of their marriage was short-lived. Despite sharing a bed during the following months, Catherine and Arthur never fully consummated their marriage. In the spring of 1502, both contracted the sweating sickness, a mysterious illness that was widespread at the time. While Catherine survived, Arthur passed away on April 2nd, leaving Catherine a widow at the age of 16. Arthur's sudden death had profound implications for both Spain and England. Catherine, now a widow in a foreign land, faced the uncertainty of her future. Her marriage to Arthur had been part of a diplomatic arrangement, and his death left her position in limbo. Her parents, Ferdinand and Isabella, quickly began negotiations for Catherine to marry Arthur's younger brother, Prince Henry, who was only 12 years old at the time. Despite the early loss, Catherine's determination and resilience would guide her through the years ahead as she navigated the political complexities of her new life in England. After the death of Prince Arthur, Catherine of Aragon's position in England became uncertain, but her parents, King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella of Spain, were determined to secure their alliance with England. Soon after Arthur's passing in the spring of 1502, discussions began about Catherine's potential marriage to Arthur's younger brother, Prince Henry, who would later become King Henry VIII. Though Henry was still a child, both the Spanish and English courts saw the importance of maintaining the marriage alliance. In the years that followed, Catherine remained in England, living at Durham House in London. She was not formally married to Prince Henry, but her continued presence in England and the support of her Spanish ambassadors kept her role significant. Catherine's situation was complicated by the young age of Henry and the political challenges faced by both kingdoms. While she remained a widow, she continued her education, learning English, and maintaining ties with her Spanish heritage, which she remained loyal to throughout her life. Despite the uncertainties surrounding her future, Catherine's importance as the widow of the Prince of Wales remained strong. In England, she became a symbol of stability and the potential to strengthen ties with Spain. Her intelligence, piety, and strong sense of duty also made her a respected figure in the English court, even though she was not yet formally married to Henry. Catherine's resilience during this period set the stage for the eventual marriage to Henry, which would have profound consequences for both her and English history. In June of 1509, after years of political negotiations and personal challenges, Catherine of Aragon married Prince Henry, who was now King Henry VIII of England. Catherine had been in England for nearly 8 years, and this marriage marked a new chapter in her life. At the time of their marriage, Catherine was 23, and Henry was just a few days shy of his 18th birthday. Despite their age difference, the union was a significant political and diplomatic moment for both Spain and England. Catherine's role as queen was not just ceremonial. She quickly became a trusted advisor to Henry, and she played a key role in the early years of his reign. Her influence was evident in her involvement in important political decisions and in her active role in representing Spanish interests at the English court. In the early years of their marriage, Catherine was also a strong supporter of Henry's military ambitions, particularly during his wars with France and Scotland. As queen, Catherine was also a patron of the arts, education, and religion. She supported many intellectuals, including the humanist scholars of her time, and advocated for the education of women. Catherine's influence extended beyond domestic affairs as she worked to strengthen the relationship between England and Spain, particularly through diplomatic channels. Catherine's early political influence in England was undeniable, and she remained a central figure in the royal court for several years, guiding her husband's reign. Catherine of Aragon's marriage to King Henry VIII faced increasing challenges, particularly in the early years of their union. One of the most significant difficulties was her struggle to produce a male heir. Catherine experienced multiple pregnancies during the first decade of her marriage, but most ended in miscarriage or stillbirth. Her only surviving child, a daughter named Mary, was born in 1516. The failure to produce a male heir put immense pressure on Catherine, especially as Henry became more determined to secure the Tudor dynasty through a male successor. In addition to the pressure from her miscarriages, Henry's infidelity added another layer of strain to their marriage. By the year 1514, Henry had begun his first known affair, and over the years, he would have several more. The most significant of these was with Anne Boleyn, a lady-in-waiting at court, who eventually caught Henry's attention and became the focal point of his desire for a divorce. Henry's growing dissatisfaction with Catherine's inability to produce a male heir led him to question the validity of their marriage. In the year 1527, he sought an annulment on the grounds that his marriage to Catherine had been unlawful due to her previous marriage to his brother Arthur. This became known as the Great Matter. Despite Catherine's protests and attempts to secure support from her nephew, Emperor Charles V, Henry's desire for an annulment would lead to a crisis in English politics, religion, and society. As Catherine of Aragon's marriage to Henry VIII deteriorated, her life took a more isolated and challenging turn. After years of being denied an annulment, Catherine was effectively separated from the court and forced to live in various residences, including Kimbolton House. Despite being stripped of her title as queen, she continued to assert her rightful place as the legitimate wife of Henry, refusing to accept his marriage to Anne Boleyn. Her steadfastness in defending her marriage and her daughter's right to the throne became a hallmark of her legacy. During her final years, Catherine became increasingly estranged from her former husband and the court. However, she remained deeply connected to her faith, and her correspondence with influential figures, including her nephew Charles V and the Pope, reflected her continued influence in European affairs. Catherine's health deteriorated over time, and by the autumn of 1535, she was gravely ill. She died on January 7, 1536, at the age of 50, from what is believed to have been a form of cancer. Though she passed away in relative obscurity, Catherine's legacy would live on, particularly through her daughter, Mary, who would eventually become Queen of England. Catherine of Aragon is remembered as a strong, intelligent, and principled woman who fought for her beliefs against overwhelming odds. Her story is one of resilience, determination, and unwavering devotion to her faith and her daughter's future. What do you think about Catherine of Aragon's struggle and her legacy? Do you think she was right to resist Henry's attempts to divorce her for so long? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more historical insights. Thank you very much for watching.